today I am caked in makeup because I was doing this forest, well, sun-kissed forest fairy look for my beauty Instagram page, because as you will know from looking at my previous videos, if you have looked at my previous videos, I'm a beauty therapist, so I take makeup appointments and many other beauty therapy related appointments. So yeah, I did this today to post on my beauty page, and it just looks very good on camera. It's so much better in person. But then again, whenever I take YouTube videos, I'm never that happy with how I actually look on camera. But not to worry. So today, why I abandoned my art for years. I have a notepad here to actually keep track of what I'm saying, as in, so I don't go off topic, because I just end up talking for ages instead of actually getting to the point. So yeah, very handy, so handy to make a list. And also sorry about the echoing that's in the room. This is not a studio, as you can tell. I'm literally just using my iPhone. I'm not using like a professional video recorder, camera, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, all in good time. Definitely think I will invest in better equipment at some stage. But anyway, so why I abandoned my artwork. So years ago, literally when I was a kid, now I'm 24 now, going on 25 in October, I used to draw loads when I was a child. Like, I never had to be told, oh, why don't you go draw, or oh, you know, anything like that. So I was drawing. I was always getting compliments for my art when I was a kid. I was that art kid, you know what I mean? I was literally known for my art in my local village. That's what I was pretty much known for in my local village, my local primary school. And yeah, I got a lot of support from my art. People were blown away by my art. But then there was other people that could sing, or that could dance, or that could do this, or that could do that. They got attention for that. And I remember definitely being like, oh, I want to be able to do that though as well. Like, or hurling, for example, was a huge thing. I wanted to do that because it's like, oh, you were a pure star if you could hurl. You were a pure star around here if you could sing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and even though instead of just embracing my own talent, the thing that I was literally born to be, which was an artist, I was trying to be good at all these other things. And I think that was probably ADHD kicking in as well, where you're trying to take on all of these things at once, and your mind won't just be like, okay, use one thing at a time, and also stick to your strengths. There's no harm in trying something new, but you don't have to try to be unbelievable at everything. It doesn't make you a failure if you're not unbelievable at this and that, you know? Because we all have our strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, basically I used to do that loads when I was a kid. My grandmother, my nanny Mora, we called her, she was extremely supportive as well of my art. Of course, my parents always were too. My nanny was an artist herself. She was an amazing artist. She did so many different types of art, you know, through whether it was knitting, pottery, painting, drawing. She'd even use charcoals. She did a bit of everything really. She was into gardening. She was just into flipping everything, any type of art or any type of form of creating something or growing something, you name it, she was good at it, and she explored it. Like, she really tried out different types of art, like. And so I remember when I was younger, she used to actually bring me to art classes over in Holy Cross. Mary Scott's art classes. Some of you that are actually from around Tipperary might remember them. They were brilliant art classes. We did so much different types of art, whether it was pottery, again, painting, felting was another thing, drawing. There was loads. I don't even remember it that well. I just remember it was a good vibe. It was such a cool place. Like, her place was it's like another planet being at her art class, to be honest. Her house and everything was so cool, and the inside was all really crafty and, you know, real witchy and magical stuff about it, like. And so yeah, my nan used to bring me to those classes, drop me off there. I haven't actually been to any adult art classes. Well, I was did art in school. That was kind of it though. Since then, I haven't actually gone to an art class, and yeah. And then as I got older, when I was a kind of a pushing on to being a teenager, I of course got, hormonal puberty kicked in. I didn't bother with art because I didn't really think it was considered cool, or I didn't think it was really considered the cool thing to be doing, or I thought, oh, the thing that's being considered, the thing to do right now is, you know, whatever, singing or flipping hurling or whatever it was. I thought was looked at as more important. Or also, I suppose again, just being a teenager, the phone, honestly, oh my god, screens are ruining our generation. But definitely the phone was a huge contributor to me going away from my art, because I thought the phone was the cool thing to be on and the cool thing to do, and it was just a bad addiction, like just being on your phone scrolling pointlessly instead of making genuine connections. And I wasted my time on my phone when I could have been talking more in person with my own family and my grandmother and my friends and stuff. And I can't get that time back, and as I said, I could have been doing art instead of wasting my time on the phone. So yeah, that's just again another teenage phase, I think. Some people sadly though don't grow out of it, like they'll stay stuck on their phone, which is so bad for you. And even if it's not the phone, even if it's a laptop or the TV, there's so much better things you can be doing with your time. Like there's no harm to have a bit of that in your life, but it's when it becomes excessive, it actually takes from your hobbies and everything, and your talents and the things that you love, like. And yeah, so definitely as a teenager I just got way more into the phone. And of course, I suppose as well, the cool thing was, what else was it? Again, I was going on then to secondary school, and sure, we were all young. I came from like an all girls primary school, so we were thinking, oh my god, we all wanted boyfriends and stuff like that, like stupid stuff that we were like, why do we actually care about going out with someone or not? At this age, I'd be like, looking back, thinking, oh my god, I actually wasted my time talking to some random lads, like the age of like what, 12, 13, 14. And when I could have been drawing and creating art, I thought that was more important, because I thought that was the cool thing, was talking to the opposite gender, you know. And yeah, again, Facebook took over, things like that. Looks, oh my god, like I think it's because we're growing up in the generation of Instagram, Facebook, and makeup, and be like people comparing themselves, trying to be the best looking, this, that, and the other, and all this crap that I look back on and I'm like, wow, that's the most ridiculous thing ever. But again, I was so young that that's what I thought was the cool thing, and it just shocks me because, as I said, I'm a lot more myself now than I actually was back then, because I think as you get older, you realize, wow, that stuff is so pointless to be trying to go with stupid trends when you should be going with what makes you happiest and what you enjoy the most. So then another reason definitely why, so basically, yeah, the first reason I think was because I didn't think it was a cool thing to do anymore. I got distracted by pointless things, as teenagers do. It's just, again, a teenage phase of being on the phone, trying to go with the trends, wasting your time with boys because you're like, oh, a boyfriend, stupid stuff. Again, as a teenager, that I look back on, I'm like, oh my god, why did you care? Why did you care about that kind of stuff? Why did you waste your time? But it's just funny looking back on now. But obviously at the time, you're thinking this is the most important thing in the world. Well, it's not. You know, you're only a child at that age. It shouldn't be a case of, you should be just growing and, enjoying your time in school and with your friends. It shouldn't be a case of you're trying to be, you're just trying to fit in basically. But it's like you were trying so hard to fit in. Everyone just wanted to fit in. Nobody wanted to stand out a mile, and unless it was in a cool way, like you were the best hurler or the best this, or you know. And another thing I think that stopped me with my art, second thing I've written down here, was I didn't think my art was good enough. Yeah, definitely. I actually at one stage got the impression that the only art that was considered talented, like art, was realism art. So art where you could draw exactly how I looked onto a page. That wasn't my style. I didn't enjoy doing that type of style. I wasn't talented at it. I wasn't into it. I know I could get a lot better at it if I wanted to, but it's just not my thing. I don't like looking at something and trying to draw exactly how it looks onto a page, even though it's an extreme talent and I can fully appreciate it and I think it's amazing, but I am not into that art myself. I would not have any interest in buying that art myself, you know. Um, Even if there was an exhibition of realism art, I wouldn't be like, oh, I really want to go to this exhibition, you know what I mean? Obviously, if I knew the person or whatever, I'd support the art and you can still, as I said, appreciate the talent, but it's not the art that I'm big into, you know. And I just eventually thought that was the art that was considered cool. That was the art that was considered talented, not mine. And I saw other people growing up that were really good at realism art and they were getting all the attention for their art. So I was like, okay, you're not talented at art, basically, is what I was convinced in my own head, that I wasn't talented at art. So I went away from my art altogether. Didn't bother it because I thought I just wasn't as great. I knew I could draw, but I didn't think I was as good anymore, you know? Um, because once you go into a bigger audience of people, because I came from a small little village, remember, then I moved primary schools. I came from a small mixed primary school. I was known as the art kid. And then when I moved and went to Thurles, Thurles town, I went to a mixed girls' school. And that was fine. I didn't bother with art when I was there. And then I went into secondary school where we were actually doing like proper art class. And there was loads of people that were well able to draw. But as I said, I remember a few people in particular were kind of known for being really good at realism art. And they were amazing at it. But again, that was what I thought was considered talent. And that seemed to be, they were the ones that were getting attention for drawing realism art. So I just thought, oh, my art doesn't matter. My art isn't, you know, isn't good enough or whatever. And I actually remember older students, like students that were way older than me, that would have been in like their final year of secondary school when I was only going into first year, that were getting hyped up for how amazing their realism art was. So again, at a young age, that got into my head and made me think that, yeah, my type of art, which is, you know, fairy tale, psychedelic, funky, it's not realistic, you know, that my type of art wasn't the type that was considered, you know, talent. So that's another reason why I just didn't bother with it. Plus, not just that, but definitely a huge mix of that was, again, as I said, like earlier in the video, the whole being a teenager, getting distracted by stupid things that I would never care about now, you know, that I'd never be putting before my art, like being on the phone and doing other stupid teenage stuff that was a waste of time, and basically going with trends and stuff and what was cool to go with and be with, you know, was, oh, let's be with the camogie team, or let's do hockey, or whatever else was considered cool. Or if you could sing, I remember thinking, oh my god, if you could sing, you were like considered the coolest person ever. And I thought, that's one talent. There's so many other talents too, though. But yeah, so yeah, so there's definitely, as I said, a mixture of, I think my art was good enough or considered talented, and also, yeah, basically being a teenager and getting distracted by stupid stuff. And then, what was the other thing? I never really thought my art one day would ever be in an exhibition or selling. I never ever really, I think, truly thought that when I was a teenager. Definitely not. Maybe when I was younger and I was a child, but as you get older, those dreams kind of diminish a little bit, definitely. Yeah, they definitely did diminish a bit anyway. But I always knew I could draw, even when I didn't think my art was that great anymore, where I didn't think my art was considered the most talented or whatever. Um, when I thought, oh yeah, realism art was the only thing that people consider talent, I just didn't think my art would actually sell. You know, I don't know why I didn't. I suppose because the people you see actually selling art are the famous artists, you know. Plus, as every other artist I'm sure will know themselves, like artists are typically stereotyped as the whole starving artist stereotype, where it's like art is not a good career to go into. You kind of grow up thinking, not because of my parents, or honestly just because society, honestly, it gets into your head and you think it's only 1 in a million artists that have it actually, that make it well as an artist and make an art career out of it. That's not true. Not anymore. And if it ever was true, it's not true anymore, definitely. There are so many artists popping up all over the place that are actually doing really well, not only as part-time artists, but as full-time artists, which is amazing to see. But yeah, so when I was done secondary school, I actually completely, I wasn't, no way, like when my mother suggested would you not do art in college, no. I thought, sure, what am I going to get out of that? Being an art teacher? I don't want to be an art teacher. Not that there's anything wrong with being an art teacher, it's a great career, but I thought that was the only career I could get out of art. Because I actually didn't know that, no, there's way more you can do than that. There's animation, there's graphic design, and there's way more as well. But yeah, I just didn't think you could, because I was never told about it, you know. And I didn't know anyone that kind of knew that side of art, and no art teachers told me either, you know. I think that would have been great actually if our teachers told us that in school, that, you know, listed out the different art careers you could have. But I don't remember any of them actually doing that. They had to teach us the curriculum, so I suppose they were too busy teaching us the curriculum, especially in sixth year when we had the Leaving Cert to do. Yeah, and what else was I going to say? But I remember, yeah, doing art in third year for my Leaving Cert, and then doing it for my junior cert in third year, and then doing art for my Leaving Cert. And I remember getting compliments for my art, and people saying, "Oh God, I didn't know you could draw, and that Jeannie, you can draw and all this." And it's like I hadn't heard those, you know, compliments in years, because I abandoned my art. No one knew I could draw because I didn't tell anyone about it, because I didn't think it was considered a cool thing. But I think that about myself, but I would never have thought that about anyone else. Does that make sense? I don't know. Yeah. And also, I used to be in the Order of Malta, which is all first aid and all that. And if you do first aid, a lot of people that do first aid, they kind of go on to, you know, become a nurse, like my mother did, or a paramedic. Like a friend of mine that was in Order of Malta with me ended up becoming. And yeah, so when I was in Order of Malta, I can't remember what they wanted us to do again, but they were asking, oh, can any of you draw? And one of the lads there that was in Order of Malta, he was known for being good at art. I wasn't known for being good at art because nobody knew I could actually draw, apart from my sister. She knew I was really artsy, but again, I had not even hidden it. Like I wasn't keeping it as a secret. I just hadn't told anyone either, because as I said, I didn't think I was that great anymore. And I just, you know, as I said, being a teenager, other things took over that I thought were more important, that 100% were never more important. But yeah, and then as you mature, you realize what's really important, you know, and you go back to your talents and the things that you enjoy the most. And art was my thing, and it was my gift. Like, it's the thing that comes most natural to me, and the thing that I know I'm never not going to be good at, you know. There's other things that I can improve on. Like, I suck at maths and I hate maths, but I can improve on it. I will never be talented at maths though, you know. But with art, it's my talent. It comes naturally to me. It's like someone who is severely talented at sports. Any sport they try, they're good at, you know. I will never be one of those people, but they will always be that type of person, because that's just in them. That's just their gift. That's what they're born good at, like naturally born good at. Um, but yeah, sorry, I got a bit sidetracked there. But as I was saying about when I was in Order Malta, so there was one guy there that was known for being very good at art, and he was really good at drawing. He's some really cool stuff, and I can't even remember what he used to draw, but he was brilliant anyway. And they asked, "Oh, can anyone here draw?" And I remember just being like, because they wanted us to do some kind of a thing. I don't know what it was, but it was something to do with Ora Malta. I think they wanted us to design some wall. I don't know. I don't know. But basically, I can't remember that well. But I remember my sister. She knew, as I said, that I was able to draw, and she knew that, like, from the time she knew me, and she's only 2 years and 7 months younger than me. And I remember they split us up into different groups anyway, and I started drawing. I think it was the cathedral or something in Lourdes, something to do with the Order of Malta. Anyway, because the Order of Malta are linked to Lourdes, or they go over to Lourdes every year to help over there. I remember doing it myself. I went to Lourdes as a cadet. It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a lovely experience, and I really like helping people. So I was delighted to go over there and help elderly people that were really sick at the time or that weren't well. And basically, then I was drawn at the cathedral. And my sister was like to the leaders of the Order of Malta and also to the other cadets in the Order of Malta. Wait till you see this now. Wait till you see this. Yeah, you'll see. Yeah, you'll see now what she'll come out with. And I was drawing it more and more. And I remember one of the leaders was like, she was blown away. Like, she was like, whoa. And she saw what I could draw. And when she saw what the other guy that was really into art as well could draw, and she said it to us afterwards. She had the both of us on her own, and she was like, I had no clue the two of you were like, geez, like this talented. Like, she was blown away by the two of us. And I think he was kind of surprised when he saw my art as well, because he didn't realise I could draw either. He just thought he was, I think not, I don't mean not calling him cocky or anything like that, but I think he definitely thought he was the only one in the room that was actually someone that was into art himself and could draw. And because as I said, I wasn't kind of waving around going, I can draw. I was just kind of like, I was really a bit embarrassed to be like, yeah, I do, because I just wasn't really confident, I suppose, as much in my art. But yeah, and then yeah. So then I remember when I was leaving the building that day, or no, that evening, there was another leader, and when I was leaving, he was like, Louise, I never knew you could draw. Oh my god. I was like, oh yeah, I said I didn't bother with it for years. Like, he was blown away by my art as well, and it was mental because, as I said, I hadn't gotten compliments like the compliments I was getting from secondary school and the compliments I was getting from Order of Malta with my art. I hadn't gotten in years because I hadn't bothered with my art in years. And I remember my grandmother, actually, before she died, now she died when I was 14, she actually said to me, this will tell you how long I didn't bother with art for. Like, I only did it in art class in school, that was it. I did not do it outside of art class. But I remember when I was in my nice house, and she actually asked me, oh, are you going to do art? And I was like, no, I haven't bothered with it in a while. I just kind of like didn't bother with it. It was just like pushed aside. And she was like, yeah, oh, I suppose it does get kind of, yeah, you do get bored of the same thing after a while. It's good to kind of try something new. But yeah, I just hadn't done art in a long time. So long. And what else happened? But then I remember when I was actually just finished my Leaving Cert, it was in the summer of 2018. So that's like 4 years ago. And I remember we were up in some small farmer's market somewhere. I can't remember the village it was, but it's not that far from my village. And there was an artist that had their art in small, like A5, probably actually A6 frames, tiny. And their art style was really, really simple anyway, and just black and white. And they were selling their art anyway for like €45 a piece. And my mother was like, oh my god, Louise, like, look at the art they're selling. You could be selling your art. You could be doing way more detailed art, way more colourful art that there's way more in the art. And look, like, and they're selling theirs, and their art style is a lot more simple and a lot more basic, and they're selling theirs for €45 an art piece. And my mother, if it wasn't for her saying that to me, I don't think I would have gone back to art back then anyway. Maybe if someone had said something to me after that or something similar. But yeah, if it wasn't for my mother saying that, then I was like, that evening I went home and started drawing again. Literally that evening. And that summer was when I made my art Instagram page that I've been growing now for the last 4 years. And now I have over 16.9 thousand followers. Which again, I never thought I'd have that many followers on my Instagram page. Ever. I've had my first ever exhibition in February, and 10 out of 18 of my artwork sold. I made over $1,000. I've sold art prints. I never, ever thought all this would happen. Like 4 years ago, if someone told me this, I would have been like, what? Come out. And now here I am making an art YouTube talking about why I abandoned my art and how I'm back at it again better than ever. You know, it's just mental. But if my mother hadn't said that to me and said, Louise, you do not realise how talented you are at art. If she hadn't said it to me that day and compared my art to that, not to put that artist down, but basically is what she was saying was their art style was so simple and just small, black and white, very little in the actual drawing. And they were selling it for €45 each, and she was saying to me, you could literally be selling yours for the same amount or more, you know? Like this, because she was trying to tell me, like, because the artist, their style was unrealistic as well. Like, it wasn't realism art, it was kind of basically cartoony art, similar to my own. So she was saying, like, your art style would sell, like, your niche of art would sell. And she was the one that woke me up. Because as I said, for years, I'd say for well over a decade, I was like, whatever to art, didn't bother with it anymore. And that's a long time, you know. And yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. But here I am now, and I've never been more into art than I ever was. Like, you know, I did more art outside of school than I ever did when I was in school. It's mental. It's crazy. But I think that's all. Just gonna read through this, see if there's anything else. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else. But oh yeah, the last thing I'd say is, yeah, if I could go back and do college again, would I do art college? Probably, but I don't think I would have gotten. You know what I've gotten in here? I suppose if I did PLC first, because I definitely wouldn't have got the points. But yeah, I think it's good in one way how everything worked out. That I did do beauty therapy, so I can always go back and do art college at some stage, or some type of art that I'm definitely looking into doing. And I've already kind of inquired about it. And I'm still happy I did beauty therapy, even though I don't like how the industry is paid so badly and how it's saturated with every second girl doing nails and brows and lashes on the side, because it takes from, you know, the people that actually did beauty therapy in college. But again, I have no control over that. I can't stop that. So, but I'm sure nail techs feel the same. You know, every second girl calls themselves a nail tech just because they have a gel polish cert or they have a gel polish extension certificate. You know, like I'm qualified in manicures, pedicures, gel polish, and gel extensions, and I still can't call myself a nail tech because I'm not. I'm a beauty therapist. You can only call yourself a nail tech if a nail technician if you did at least a year in college. But yeah, the beauty industry is messed up in a lot of ways. Yeah, so I still do like the industry to an extent, but like every industry, there's problems. But it's the pay that bothers me the worst, is how bad the pay is. Like, if you work in a salon or a spa, the pay is shocking. You're best to just do appointments yourself from your own house or something. But then there's problems with that too, because you're the boss and you're the one that's to drive all the clients and yada yada. But there's artsy side to beauty as well, like makeup, nails, and plenty of other artsy sides to it too. Nail art is another thing, that'd be cool. You can actually do a specific course on nail art. I don't think I'll bother though. We'll see, probably won't. So would I go back? I don't think I would, to be honest. I'm actually happy with how things played out, because if I was to go back to college right now as an art student, I'd be a lot more mature and I'd have my head screwed on a lot better than I did when I first came out of school as a 19-year-old, you know. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm going to leave it at that. This video wasn't meant to be as long as it was. It's going on half an hour now, but I will talk to you again. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it inspired you a little bit to, you know, if you have dropped art yourselves, go back to it, or even if it isn't art, even if it's just a talent of yours that you never thought you kind of dropped because you thought, oh, I'm not as good at it or whatever, whether it's sports, whether it's singing, whether it's baking, cooking, you know, writing, whatever it is, public speaking, uh, I hope it inspires you to go back at it. I hope this is your sign to go back at it. Don't give up on it. Because I did for years, and I couldn't be happier that I went back at it. Because now look at all the amazing things that's happened to me through art, and that's still happening to me through art. And I can't wait to see what else happens to me with art. And I'm excited for everything that's coming because I can feel it in me. There's big things coming from my art. So yeah, that's all. Salon.